the very heart of Paterson, New Jersey, a city whose silhouettes of factory smokestacks once heralded prosperity and now served as reminders of its former industrial might. A drama unfolded that challenged the very notion of justice. It was here, amidst the bustling streets where the aromas of home cooking mingled with the faint scent of exhaust fumes, that Rubin Hurricane Carter resided, a man whose name became forever synonymous with unyielding strength, incredible resilience, and, most regrettably, bitter injustice. He was not merely a boxer, he was a true star, a rising star whose lightning-fast punches could shatter any opponent, and whose magnetic aura captivated the gazes of thousands. But his life, much like a brilliant flame, soon found itself shrouded in the impenetrable darkness of a false accusation. Carter, a black man who had navigated the harsh realities of American society, understood from a young age that the path to success would be thorny. His childhood was marred by poverty and humiliating racial discrimination, which left deep scars on his soul. However, it was boxing that became his solace and the meaning of his life. In the ring, under the thunderous roar of the crowd, he felt like a true king. His movements were swift as a flash of lightning, and his punches devastating, akin to the fury of a real hurricane. It was for this unstoppable power that he was nicknamed the Hurricane, and he forever captured the hearts of thousands, becoming a symbol of hope for those who, like him, fought for a better future. The entire nation watched his fights with bated breath, and his picture graced the front pages of leading sports publications. He dreamt of the coveted championship belt, of a life free from fear and want, where each day wasn't a struggle for survival, but cruel fate had other plans. On the 17th of June, 1966, a quiet, unremarkable evening in the cozy Taq Mahal bar in Paterson was shattered by a sudden shock, followed by a wave of brutal carnage. Two men, Freddie Griffin and Pablo Cedeno, were mortally wounded, and a third, John Wills, sustained severe injuries. The testimonies of the few witnesses were confusing and contradictory, yet soon all the unsettling threads, as if by someone's malicious intent, began to point towards Rubin Carter and his close friend, John Weiss. Carter, whose sporting fame had reached its peak, was suddenly transformed into the primary target for the press and investigators. Public opinion, fueled by deep-seated racial prejudice and the unscrupulous yellow press, seemed to have already delivered its unyielding verdict. The case itself was shrouded in mystery and unspoken matters from the very beginning. The police, under the guidance of experienced but seemingly hasty detectives, Vincent Ricci and Bartolomeo Vitta, appeared eager to close the book, not bothering with thorough investigation. The prosecution's star witness was Arthur Dale. He claimed he had personally seen Carter and Weiss shoot people, but his testimony wasn't just incomplete. It contradicted other witness accounts and common sense. It later emerged that Dale himself had a criminal past and was no stranger to deception. Yet, his word, amplified by the prosecution's aggressive pressure, proved more convincing than any other argument. Carter, a man accustomed to a fight, found himself trapped. He was arrested and charged with murder. Friends, family, colleagues, all were in a state of profound shock. No one could believe that their hurricane, their champion, could have committed such cruelty. Carter himself steadfastly maintained his innocence, but his words seemed to drown in the chorus of accusations. The press, like a pack of hungry predators, eagerly seized upon every new discovery, crafting an image of Carter as a cold-blooded killer. The first trial ended inconclusively, with the jury unable to reach a unanimous verdict. Nevertheless, the prosecution was undeterred, firmly resolved to put Carter behind bars. The second trial, held in 1967, concluded with a guilty verdict. Rubin "Hurricane" Carter was sentenced to life imprisonment. The boxing world, and indeed many beyond it, were shaken by this news. Many believed it was a monstrous conspiracy, a deliberate destruction of a promising black athlete. Decades spent behind prison bars became a harsh ordeal for Carter, one that, however, only forged his spirit, never breaking it. He tirelessly wrote letters, studied laws, and searched for the slightest clue, any opportunity to prove his innocence. His family, his devoted friends, among whom was the American baseball player Bobby Mack, did not abandon him in his hour of need. They continued to fight desperately, striving to draw public attention, meticulously gathering all possible evidence that could refute the unjust accusation. In 1974, 8 long years after his arrest, Carter finally had a chance. Bobby Mack, skillfully leveraging his extensive connections and considerable influence, organized a powerful campaign in support of his friend. He highlighted the dubious evidence, the potential manipulation of facts, and the clear racial undertones that permeated the entire case. Gradually, public opinion began to shift, like ice melting under the spring sun. People started to think, to ask uncomfortable questions, to question the official narrative. However, the judicial system, like a ponderous giant, remained unyielding. Even when new, irrefutable evidence emerged confirming Carter's innocence, and Arthur Dale himself publicly confessed to perjury, his case was still not reopened. The system seemed so accustomed to its initial ruling, it simply refused to acknowledge its own monstrous mistake. But Carter did not give up. He continued to write. He continued to fight, no matter what. His story became a true symbol for thousands of unjustly convicted people, lost in the tangled mazes of justice. In 1975, thanks to the tireless efforts of his lawyers and concerned activists, a third trial was initiated. And then, after long, agonizing years of waiting, after entire decades of unceasing struggle, the long-awaited breakthrough finally arrived. The jury, having carefully listened to all presented evidence, having thoroughly examined all circumstances of the case, unanimously delivered the verdict: not guilty. Rubin, known as the Hurricane Carter, was immediately released. It was a victory, earned at the price of incredible, unimaginable effort, a price few could comprehend. He walked out free, wounded, broken, but not defeated, a man who had spent half his life in a desperate fight for the truth. His release was a colossal, all-conquering triumph, not just for himself, but for everyone who clung to the belief in justice's ultimate victory until the very end. The story of Rubin Carter, known as the Hurricane, is forever etched in memory as a brilliant testament to how unwavering perseverance, unshakable faith, and the genuine support of loved ones can shatter even the most impenetrable, darkest walls. Yet, it also serves as a stark, unforgiving reminder of how fragile and vulnerable the justice system can be, and how easily an utterly innocent person can be trapped in the endless darkness of another's lies and profound injustice. His long life, his agonizing, grueling struggle, this is not merely another story. It is a priceless lesson we are bound to cherish in our hearts, so that such a tragedy may never,